ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्।
सुंदर सुंदर विनायका,
सुंदर विनायका,
सुंदर सुंदर विनायका,
सुंदर विनायका,
शुभ मंगलदायक विनायका,
शुभ मंगलदायक विनायका,
शुभ मंगलदायक विनायका,
शुभ मंगलदायक विनायका,
विघ्न कोटि हर विमल गजानन,
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 सकल विघ्न हर पाहि गजानन,
सकल विघ्न हर पाहि गजानन,
सकल विघ्न हर पाहि गजानन, ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
सुंदर सुंदर विनायका,
सुंदर सुंदर विनायका,
शुभ मंगलदायक विनायका,
शुभ मंगलदायक विनायका,
विघ्न कोटि हर विमल गजानन,
विघ्न कोटि हर विमल गजानन,
सकल विघ्न हर पाहि गजानन,
विघ्न हर पाहि गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
ईश्वरी नंदन पर्ति गजानन,
जय जय गणेश जय श्री गणेश,
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 जय गणेश जय श्री गणेश,
जय 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 जय गणेश जय श्री गणेश,
सुंदर सुंदर विनायका, गुरुदेवा ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಮಂದರ ಗಿರಿಧರ ಶಿರಡಿ ಪುರೀಶ್ವರ. ಮಂದರ ಗಿರಿಧರ ಶಿರಡಿ ಪುರೀಶ್ವರ.
ಶಿರಡಿ ಪುರೀಶ್ವರ.
ಜಯ ಪರ್ತೀಶ್ವರ ಸಾಯಿ ಶಿವಾ.
ಜಯ ಪರ್ತೀಶ್ವರ ಸಾಯಿ ಶಿವಾ.
ಜಯ ಪರ್ತೀಶ್ವರ ಸಾಯಿ ಶಿವಾ.
ಜಯ ಪರ್ತೀಶ್ವರ ಸಾಯಿ ಶಿವಾ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಸುಂದರ ರೂಪ ಶ್ರೀ ಸಾಯಿ ದೇವಾ.
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 ವೈದೇಹಿ ಮೋಹನ ನಾರಾಯಣ.
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 ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಮಂದರ ಗಿರಿಧರ ಶಿರಡಿ ಪುರೀಶ್ವರ.
ಗಿರಿಧರ ಶಿರಡಿ ಪುರೀಶ್ವರ.
ಜಯ ಪರ್ತೀಶ್ವರ ಸಾಯಿ ಶಿವಾ.
ಜಯ ಪರ್ತೀಶ್ವರ ಸಾಯಿ ಶಿವಾ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ.
ಸುಂದರ ರೂಪ ಶ್ರೀ ಸಾಯಿ ದೇವಾ.
ಸುಂದರ ರೂಪ ಶ್ರೀ ಸಾಯಿ ದೇವಾ.
ವೈದೇಹಿ ಮೋಹನ ನಾರಾಯಣ.
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 ಗುರುದೇವಾ ಗುರು ಗೋವಿಂದ. ಮಂಗಳಕಾರಿಣಿ ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ.
ಮಂಗಳಕಾರಿಣಿ ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ.
ಮಂಗಳಕಾರಿಣಿ ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ.
ಮಂಗಳಕಾರಿಣಿ ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ.
ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ. ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ.
ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ. ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ.
ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ. ಜಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಾँ. भवभयहारिणि साई माँ,
भवभयहारिणि साई माँ,
भवभयहारिणि साई माँ,
भवभयहारिणि साई माँ,
त्रिभुवन पालिनी जय 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 साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
जय साई माँ, जय साई माँ,
जय साई माँ, जय साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
भाग्यप्रदायिनी साई माँ,
भाग्यप्रदायिनी साई माँ,
भवभयहारिणि साई माँ,
भवभयहारिणि साई माँ,
त्रिभुवन पालिनी जय साई माँ,
त्रिभुवन पालिनी जय साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
माता महेश्वरी साई माँ,
जय 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 साई माँ,
बोलो 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 जय 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 साई माँ,
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 बोलो 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 जय 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 साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ। चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला,
चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला,
चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला,
चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला,
नंदलाल नंद गोपाला,
नंदलाल नंद गोपाला,
नंदलाल नंद गोपाला,
नंदलाल नंद गोपाला,
नंदलाला नंदलाला, नंदलाला नंदलाला, वृंदावन श्याम गोपाला,
वृंदावन श्याम गोपाला,
वृंदावन श्याम गोपाला,
वृंदावन श्याम गोपाला,
मथुरा व्रज गोकुल बाला, मथुरा व्रज गोकुल बाला, नंदलाला नंदलाला चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला नंदलाल नंद गोपाला नंदलाल नंद गोपाला नंदलाला नंदलाला वृंदावन श्याम गोपाला वृंदावन श्याम गोपाला मथुरा ब्रज गोकुल बाला मथुरा ब्रज गोकुल बाला मनमोहन मदन गोपाला मनमोहन मदन गोपाला नंदलाला नंदलाला नंदलाल नंद गोपाला नंदलाल नंद गोपाला नंदलाला 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 चित्त चोरा मुरली वाला साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता 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 ओ साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता ओ साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता रूप मनोहर कमला कांता मनोहर कमला कांता रूप मनोहर कमला कांता मनोहर कमला कांता युग अवतार साई बाबा दया करो परति बाबा युग अवतार साई बाबा दया करो परति बाबा युग अवतार साई बाबा दया करो परति बाबा युग अवतार साई बाबा निवासी शिरडी परती हृदय निवासी प्रशांति सुंदर साई प्रशांति सुंदर साई साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता 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 ओ साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता ओ साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता रूप मनोहर कमला कांता मनोहर कमला कांता युग अवतार साई बाबा दया करो परति बाबा युग अवतार साई बाबा दया करो परति बाबा शिरडी परती हृदय निवासी प्रशांति सुंदर साई प्रशांति सुंदर साई प्रशांति सुंदर साई साई बाबा सकल भुवन के दाता
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
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 महादेव बोलो जय पांडुरंग 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 बोलो
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
राम कृष्ण बोलो जय बुद्ध साई 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 बोलो
सौराष्ट्र महावीर येशु 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 साई बोलो
अल्लाह साई बोलो मौला 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 साई बोलो
प्रेम साई शांतिदाई सत्य 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 साई बोलो
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
महादेव बोलो जय
शिव बोलो जय पांडुरंग बोलो
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
साई नाम बोलो गोविंद नाम बोलो
राम कृष्ण बोलो जय बुद्ध साई बोलो
राम कृष्ण बोलो जय बुद्ध साई बोलो
सौराष्ट्र महावीर येशु साई बोलो
सौराष्ट्र महावीर येशु साई बोलो
अल्लाह साई बोलो मौला 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 साई बोलो
प्रेम साई शांतिदाई सत्य 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 साई बोलो
गोविंद बोलो गोपाल 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 बोलो
प्रेम साई शांतिदाई सत्य साई बोलो आंजनेय वीरा हनुमंत शूरा
आंजनेय वीरा हनुमंत शूरा
आंजनेय वीरा हनुमंत शूरा
आंजनेय वीरा हनुमंत शूरा
वायुकुमारा वानर वीरा
वायुकुमारा वानर वीरा
वायुकुमारा वानर वीरा
वायुकुमारा वानर वीरा
आंजनेय वीरा हनुमंत शूरा
आंजनेय वीरा
शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
शिव शिव हर हर हराय नमो हर हर शिव शिव शिवाय नमो
शिव हर हर हराय नमो हर हर शिव शिव शिवाय नमो
शिव शिव हर हर हराय नमो हर हर शिव शिव शिवाय नमो
शिव हर हर हराय नमो हर हर शिव शिव शिवाय नमो
हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
डम 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 डमरू बाजे डम 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 डमरू बाजे धिमितक धिमितक मृदंग बाजे धिमितक धिमितक मृदंग बाजे हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
शिव शिव हर हर हराय नमो हर हर शिव शिव शिवाय नमो
शिव हर हर हराय नमो हर हर शिव शिव शिवाय नमो
हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो
डम 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 डमरू बाजे धिमितक धिमितक मृदंग बाजे हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा हर हर महादेवा ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमो ॐ
चित चोरा यशोदा के बाल, नवनीत चोर गोपाल। चित चोरा यशोदा के बाल, नवनीत चोर गोपाल। गोपाल गोपाल गोपाल, गोवर्धन धर गोपाल। यशोदा के बाल, नवनीत चोर गोपाल। चित चोरा यशोदा के बाल, नवनीत चोर गोपाल। यशोदा के बाल, नवनीत चोर गोपाल। चित चोरा यशोदा के बाल, नवनीत
The other thing I think throughout my life I found was that you had to do what is given to you as your duty and do it well with sincerity. Do it well with sincerity. That was one of the things. I mean, the first lesson I think I learned was through my mother. My mother was an extremely duty conscious person, and she would always say the reason for that was when first she got married and she came into the joint family of her husband's family as a newly married person. They were all there, as you know, in a Hindu joint family. My father's elder brother, younger brother, his unmarried sister, everybody was there. They were all in a joint family. And when my father's niece, that is my father's elder brother's daughter, was born, her name is Sudha, Swami used to come many times to my uncle's house as well. In fact, one of the first Akhanda Bhajans that was started in our family, the Akhanda Bhajans was started by the first 7 or 8 families of our own family, and then later on it became a global event that it is now. So for 25 years, the Akhanda Bhajan was actually a family function, and Swami used to come and stay in our house for the Akhanda Bhajan for 3 days. And then after the Akhanda Bhajan, he would go back. And in 1974, Swami made it the global Akhanda Bhajan, which all of us celebrate. He said, you have all started with one Akhanda Jyoti. Now it will become really an Akhanda Jyoti, which is lit all over the world. So during Akhanda Bhajans, he used to come. And one of the Akhanda Bhajans, he was also in my uncle's house, which my father's elder brother's house. My mother, in one of, when she was a young child, she was only about 2 years old or something, Swami had come to Bangalore. and he was staying in one of the devotees' homes. And he sent word to all of these people saying, I have come to Bangalore, all of you come. So in those days, somebody would come and inform. There were no telephones or anything in Bangalore in the 50s. So my mother, so they all decided to go. Now my mother had been given the charge of this young child, 2 years old child, who was my father's brother's daughter. She was just 2 and she was unwell. She had a high fever and everything. And my mother, who was a very disciplined person, my aunt had said, my mother's name is Kamala. So he said, Kamala, you give her medicines at the right time, check her temperature, keep a note of the temperature so that we can tell the doctor. So she had been looking after this small baby. And when they got the information that Swami has come, all of you come, everybody was very excited, got ready to go. There was an elderly aunt in the house. So she said, my mother did not want to go because she was in charge of this child. But that aunt said, no, you go, it's okay. I will look after the child. You're only going for 1 or 2 hours. Don't worry, she's doing better. So the child was only 2 years old. So in her excitement of going, my mother wanted to check the temperature and then go. So she put the thermometer, the old type of thermometer, not the digital thermometers that we have now. The old thermometers which has the mercury, which you have to put under the tongue and retake the temperature. My mother put it under the child's tongue and was getting ready because it takes a minute or so, but completely forgot in the excitement and left to see Swami. This is a small child who was quite sick, lying in bed. And as soon as they entered the devotee's house, Swami was sitting in the chair. And as soon as they entered, he called my mother and he said, what is this? You have come to see me without doing your duty properly. My mother was a young girl, newly married at that time. And she, in front of everybody, Swami rebuked her and said, what is this? Is this the way to do your duty? This is not the way to do your duty. So my mother didn't know what. She said, I don't know, Swami, what has happened. I don't know what I did. What did I do wrong? She didn't even know what was the mistake. Then Swami said, you have put the thermometer in Sudha's mouth and you have come away in your excitement of wearing the sari, getting ready, combing your hair. You left the child with the thermometer. If your child had bitten the thermometer, the mercury would go. So my mother and all the people there immediately started to feel very anxious because this is a very dangerous thing. The glass would have been broken. The mercury would have gone into the house. And the elderly aunt who was in the house was not very educated. What would she do? So everybody stood up and said, we will go home, we will go home. And Swami said, no, don't worry. I gone and I have removed the thermometer. I have put it under the pillow. When you go home, you will find the thermometer under the pillow. But remember that even when you want to worship the Lord, duty comes first. You have to first do the duty that you have taken upon yourself properly, clearly, and sincerely. Only then you can come even rushing for my darshan. So sure enough, when they all went back home that day, there was the thermometer under the pillow of my cousin Sudha's pillow. And she was 2 or 2.5 years old. And they asked her, Sudha, who took out your thermometer? Kamlu Chikama, the aunt has left it in your mouth. Who took it out? And she said, oh, Swami came, she said. Swami came and took it out. So that is how the omnipresence, the innocent faith of a child, I think my mother learned what was duty. And so throughout her life, she was very, very dutiful in anything that she did. And so we also grew up like that. So one of the things that happened to me in 2008, Swami fixed my son Varun's wedding with another wonderful Sai devotee family, Gandikota Subbarao. You all chant the Sai Gayatri. It was his father, Subramanya Shastri, Gandikota Subramanya Shastri, to whom was revealed the Sai Gayatri. We all chant it, and nowadays we are doing it as Akanda Sai Gayatri and other things. So my daughter-in-law is the great-granddaughter of Subramanya Shastri Garu and Subbarao, who used to live in Prashantinilayam. He used to work for the United Nations, and when he retired and lived in Prashantinilayam. So Swami fixed the marriage of his granddaughter, Sai Lakshmi, with my son, Varun. So when I had gone to Prashanthi Nilayam, he told me that this is a very good girl. They are also in the US. Her father at that time, my daughter-in-law's father at that time was working in Austria, in Vienna. So he said, the girl is a very good girl. You tell Varun to marry this girl. She's a very good girl. They are Sai devotees. I have only named that girl. They are long-time devotees like you. So my son and my daughter-in-law, without even having seen each other, met each other, they agreed to the alliance completely because of their faith in Swami. And Swami told us, told the girl's grandmother, you ask the boy's family all to come in November during the Kartik Masam, Kartik month, and I will perform the marriage here in Prashanthi Nilayam. So we all went there, as Swami had said, both the families from the US, the girl's parents came. All of us went, grandparents, uncles, aunts, everybody went as Swami had instructed. And we were waiting. As soon as I arrived in Prashanthi Nilayam, my husband and my sons and I, Swami came to me in the darshan line and asked me, have you all come? Who is not here yet? And we said, no, Swami, the girl's family are also here. Only 2 of the uncles have to come. He said, okay, very happy. I'll do the marriage, he said, and he walked away. Then after that began the test. So it doesn't matter how long you have been a devotee or how many interviews you got or how many children he has named. It doesn't matter. Swami will constantly test our faith and our commitment. So after he had spoken for the first couple of days to the girl's family and to us, Swami decided that he was not going to say anything more about the marriage. So you can imagine, all of us had gone with 2 or 3 weeks of vacation. The girl had to return to her job. The boy had to return to his job, which is my son. All of us, my husband had to come back to his job. So we were all waiting for the day that Swami would say. I must say that I admire my wonderful daughter-in-law. Every day, her parents would dress her up as a bride. We would sit there because we did not know on which day Swami will ask us to come into the interview room for the marriage. She would dress up very patiently, even though everybody looked at her. Very patiently she would sit. So did my son. And they would sit there and Swami would walk by us as though we never existed there. So this went on. And it went on for days, for almost, 2 weeks almost. And everybody, so this is another lesson I learned. Don't get carried away by what everybody says. If you have faith, stick to your faith. That is what Swami says. Self-confidence in your own faith. So everybody in Prashanthi Nilayam started to tell us, oh, why are you giving so much trouble to Swami? Why? Swami doesn't perform any more marriages now. Swami himself has become frail. Why don't you get married in Puttaparthi, in the one of the temples, and bring the newly married couple here? He will just bless them. Why don't you just fix up a date and go and get married in America and come back for blessings? So thousands of types of advice we were given by every close devotee, far devotee, non-devotee. People who did not know us also decided to come and give us advice. So, when so many people are giving input, Swami says, mind is such a thing, chanchala. It is always moving up and down like a pendulum. But you have to bring that mind back to focus and say, no, Swami, you told us to wait. The word wait means wait. So we had a family meeting, the girls' family, boys' family. What shall we do? We have been waiting. The days are going by. In about 5 days' time, everybody's plane tickets are booked. What should we do? The girls' family said, Swami said, wait. We feel we should wait. We said, the boys' family, Swami said, wait. We should wait. Then we asked the girl and the boy, because both hardly knew each other. They both had jobs to come back to. There is only so much vacation they had. So both of them said, if Swami said, wait, we will go back and we will come back again. And we will wait, but we will wait. So this was the decision that we came. So in the meantime, while I was sitting there in the darshan line, I must say again, I don't remember the lady's name, unfortunately. The Chennai, the Tamil Nadu Seva coordinator, she came up to me. I didn't know her. She saw me sitting in the darshan line And she came up to me and said, Sister Geeta, we have come here, all the ladies have come to do seva in Prashanti Nilayam. Can you come and give a talk to our Chennai seva ladies, the ladies who have come for seva? She was the Seva Dal coordinator. This is 2008 November. I don't remember the lady's name. I apologize. She came to me on the first day and she asked. I was in the excitement of the marriage. Swami had said, oh, very glad you have all come. I will do the marriage. Wait, he said, and went away. So we were all excited. Swami is going to call us tomorrow. Swami is going to call us day after tomorrow. So we were all. So I told her, no, I have come here. Swami has said he will perform my son's marriage. So I don't think I can come and give a talk this time. Please excuse me, I said. First mistake there itself happened. Because whenever I was asked, Swami has told me, when somebody asks you to speak, go and speak. You are a tape recorder. I will make you speak. You go and speak. That's all. But I took the decision upon myself. Though I was not doing anything, she said, no, Sister Geeta, after evening darshan, you can come and talk to them. They are all very eager. They all see you sitting here. They are requesting me to ask you. I could have easily gone. I was not doing anything after evening darshan. But I said, no, it is my son's wedding. I have come here. I cannot give a talk, I said. They were also seeing 2 days went by, 3 days went by, no wedding happened. Swami was ignoring us. We were all sitting there just praying. Again, she came and asked, Sister Geeta, we have got 1 more week of seva. Can you please come and talk? Any time that you say, we will be ready. Again, second mistake. You see how we don't take what Swami tells seriously. Swami had said, go and talk whenever they ask. What was the problem for me to go and talk in the evening or in the afternoon? They were ready at any time. Only in the afternoon, I think they cannot because they have to do seva. But in the evening, she said, even 8 p.m. in the evening, it is okay. We are all in that dormitory arrangement. Sister Geeta, we will. Again, I told her, no. On the third time when she asked, by this time, we have reached the end of our stay, November 6th. Our tickets, my son's ticket was booked for November 9th. My daughter-in-law's ticket was booked for 10th or 11th of November. So by that time, we knew that probably for whatever reason, Swami has decided maybe not to do the marriage. But we said till the last day, we will stay here and go to the airport. So I was sitting there, 6th morning, again in the darshan line, the lady came and asked me, I said, Sister Geeta, please, I am requesting you, even if it is only for 20 minutes, please, can you come and speak? That day, I thought, somebody is asking me to share this beautiful Lord's experiences so that they can also feel the joy. And I'm consistently saying no without any proper good reason. Because this is not like a regular marriage where you have a marriage hall and you have to make so many arrangements, hundreds of guests are coming, thousands of rupees are being spent on Pakkavadyam and Nadaswaram. Nothing. This is just Swami's place. Swami has asked us to come. And in his place I am staying. In the room that he has given, he is staying. They are asking me to speak and I am saying no. So I said, I think I'm not doing the right thing. I said, I will come. So I told her this evening, I will come after evening darshan. You please tell me where. She says, no, you please, one of the girls will come and take you to our dorm. It is near the North Building. So sure enough, after darshan that evening at 7 o'clock, they came and I walked with that lady and I spoke to them for about an hour, till about 8 o'clock. And I came out, and as I was walking back towards my room, my twin sons, Arun and Varun, were running and coming in full. So I thought, what happened? They said, Mummy, Swami has sent word to Sai Lakshmi's family saying tomorrow he will perform the marriage on the 7th. So the sense of not only relief, but the lesson that I learned that day is that when we have given a commitment to whoever that may be, and in this case, my commitment to Swami to talk, as soon as I did that, of course, there were many other reasons, the devotion of all of us, our ability to take the test that he was giving us, all of that, especially for the boy and the girl's family who were also equally anxious. The test was a very strong and difficult one. Swami was testing us to see, are these people going to listen to all the hundreds of people who are telling them 100 things? Are they going to listen to my word of wait, wait, wait? They will listen to me. He was testing us. But for me, on that day, I felt that the minute I followed his little advice, that you stick to your commitment, you will get your answer. By the time I walked out of the hall, these two boys came running saying, Swami has sent word, he will perform the marriage tomorrow. And on November 7th, he performed the marriage of my son and Varun in Prashanti Nilayam. So in every way, we can see that our effort is required. Our effort, when we do our duty properly, and if we consistently have that faith which is strong, then we can feel his presence in our lives all the time. So I think I may have about another 15 minutes, if I may ask Brother Satya. Should I continue to talk? All right, I will continue to talk. Please make a sign to me when it is time for me to think, because I'm trying to look at the Indian time on my American phone here, so I don't want to be distracted. So anyway, so one other beautiful experience I had about doing one's duty with commitment was again another Tamil Nadu only experience, I must say. So I think Swami is taking me down that path. When I was a kid, you may have heard it. I know many of you listen to the talks on YouTube many times. But since somehow today Swami took me on this path of omnipresence, faith and commitment, this particular one, I think I really must share with all of you. When we were children, sometimes Swami used to take us on vacation and in the summer holidays. And on one particular, I must have been about 8 years, 9 years old, Swami decided to go to the Horsley Hills, where the devotee had given Swami a beautiful British-style bungalow. And he took us about 3 or 4 cars. We all went with Swami to Horsley Hills. We stayed for Professor Kasturi also came along. Few families came. And we all went. There was so much of excitement at the idea of traveling with Swami. It was so beautiful. We could go. He would stop for lunch on the way, and we would spread out a picnic lunch under the tree, sit down and have, and Swami would be a part of all of us, eating along with us, talking, joking, and we reached Horsley Hills. And we spent about 10 days there. A beautiful time in the 60s, early 60s. Beautiful time there. Of course, any time spent with Swami is beautiful, but vacation was a little bit different. Swami would go for walks with us. In the evening, he would have some small discourses. He would tell stories to the children. And of course, he would, spend a lot of time with everybody in a very loving way. So it was very a lovely time. We enjoyed so much. He would eat with all of us, go out with all of us, go and see the places around. And it was going on like this. And of course, all the ladies would cook there as well. So it was a beautiful time with Swami for about 8 or 10 days. And we were all having a good time. None of us really cared much about the fact that there were 2 buffaloes, water buffaloes, that was bringing water to this place from a distant about 2 or 3 kilometers, I'm not sure, 2-3 miles probably. There was a well there. There was a water shortage here where we were staying. So the buffaloes would go to the well there, and the people who were taking care of the bungalow and all that would draw the water, fill it up with 2 huge cauldrons that was tied on the back of these buffaloes, and these 2 buffaloes, and they would bring the water, and the water would be poured into a big sort of a cement tank that was built, and the water would be filled. So these buffaloes would go back and forth to bring this water. And this water was used for all of us to wash our clothes and wash the dishes and all that. Nobody paid much attention to it. The buffaloes would make 8 or 10 trips to the well and bring the water from there. And we were all very busy enjoying a good time with Swami, not really worrying too much about the fact that these buffaloes were working so hard. So anyway, 10 days or so went by, and Swami asked us all to be ready the following morning at about 5:30 to leave, to go back to Bangalore. And when Swami says be ready by 6 o'clock in the morning to leave, we all better be sitting in the cars at 5:30. If you are not there, he will leave at the time. He's not going to wait for people who are late. So everybody was ready and sitting in the car, very excited for another long journey back to Bangalore. And Swami came and he was about to sit into the car, into Swami's car, where Sri Kasturi Garu was also going to sit, when suddenly he got out and said, wait, and he went. And he started to walk to the back of the bungalow, not into the main entrance or the side entrance of the bungalow. He started. Immediately, all the ladies in our car, I can remember, oh, why is he going in the back? Did we keep the back clean? Is the back clean? Why is he going in the back of the bungalow? Everybody was worried because our normal thing, we think, our puja room, God is there, we will keep it clean. The rest of the places, it can be in any way. We don't realize he is everywhere. So in the same way, these ladies were saying, oh my God, why is Swami going in the back? Why did we keep the clean? Is it swept properly? And all they are talking. And Kasturi Garu immediately wanted to see what was happening, why Swami was going to the back. I also was a small girl. Swami had given me a lot of liberties. I could go wherever Swami went. I used to go with Swami. So I also jumped out of the car and went from the other side to see, very curious, where is Swami going? And both Sri Kasturi Garu and I, we met at the back, and we were both standing behind a bush to see what Swami is doing. Swami walked straight to these two buffaloes, which were there in a shed over there. And he went there and he started to talk to the buffaloes as though they were human beings like you and me. And we could see very clearly there was such a beautiful connection and communication between this divine Lord and those buffaloes. He started to talk to them in Telugu. Emi, Papam, chala pani chesaru meeranta. You have done a lot of work for me. Dinammu, you have been bringing water for me. Every day, you have been watering for me. You have done a lot of work for me. So I came to thank you. He started to pat the cheeks of these two buffaloes, and we could see the tears rolling down the eyes of the buffaloes, which could easily understand what Swami was saying to them. Tears were rolling down, and Swami kept patting them on the cheek and saying, don't cry, don't cry. I'll come back again next year. You have done so much work to me. For me, he materialized some vibhuti, put it on the forehead of both the buffaloes, patted their cheeks and said, don't cry. I will be back very soon. I'm so pleased that you have worked without any expectation. Every day you have worked. He said, turned around and said, hey, you two, why are you hiding behind the bush? I told you to sit in the car. And there we were, Kasturi Garu and I, caught by Swami when he had told us to sit in the car. He said, go and sit in the car. Go and sit in the car. And many years later, Kasturi Garu wrote, I'm sure, in the book about this incident. And I have told many devotees what a love that existed between this creature, this animal that he had created, the love for Swami with which it had done the work for its devotees, and how Swami showed his gratitude for their commitment and for their continuously doing his work without any expectations, obviously. And Swami went and really spoke to those two buffaloes with so much of love. So this was again one of the things that I learned, that when you are in a committed and in a loving way, you serve that Lord, he will consistently, he will take care of you. One other small incident I will narrate, and I think by that time I would be coming to the thing. When I finished my college, I graduated in early childhood development. Swami asked me to do child development so that I could teacher. By that time, as Sister Kirti read out, by that time at the age of 14 and a half, 15, Swami had asked me to do Balavikas, become a Balavikas guru. So I had been teaching Balavikas for a long time. So by the time I finished my college, I had been doing Balavikas for quite some time. And Swami told me after that to do some Montessori training, which was quite far away from our house where we lived in Bangalore. We lived in an area called Jainagar. This was in Shivaji Nagar. So you had to go by bus. It would take about an hour or so to go there. And I used to do Bal Vikas, but sometimes because of the Montessori classes, which were late in the evening, sometimes I would ask the other teacher who was with me to do the class, because I would not be able to go to my Montessori class and do the Bal Vikas on some days when they had some practical lessons and all that. So one particular weekend, I had gone to Brindavan, and Swami asked me about Balavikas. How are you doing? How are the children? How many children are there? Swami used to always ask. And he used to come to my parents' house very regularly for dinner. So at that time, I used to have all my Balavikas children come to have Swami's darshan. And Swami would always talk to the children, give them Pada Namaskara, ask about each of them. So very beautiful blessing that Swami used to give the children. So that particular time, this was when I was doing my Montessori program after my BSc program in Bangalore. He asked me about the children, and I said, they are doing well, Swami, but some of the days that was bothering me, that I was missing some of the classes because of the practical classes that I had to take here with Montessori. So I said, sometimes I'm missing the Balvika's teaching, Swami, because I have to go for the classes. He said, oh, I know, it's okay. The other lady is doing it very well. Swami also appreciated her. But he said, what about this week? Are you going? You bring the you go to the class this week, because that even before the lady had told me, Swami said, that lady has some family program. You go to the class and then go to your Montessori class, he said. But unfortunately, if I did that, the journey from Jayanagar to Shivaji Nagar was almost 1 hour. And if I did that, I would miss my practical. And on that day, I would miss my practical exam. That I had a practical exam. I would miss it if I did the class, then took a bus and I went there. And my parents had a car and everything, but my father had to be in Brindavan with Swami all the time, because he used to spend all his time with Swami in Brindavan when he was not working. So I would not have the car either. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the courage to tell Swami that I will miss the exam. When Swami very clearly told me, you do the class and then you go to Montessori. So I knew that I will probably miss the exam, which meant I would fail the class. So anyway, since Swami had said, in a very sort of a half-hearted way, anyway, I did the class that day. And then I took the bus and I arrived in Shivaji Nagar at the bus stop. And there was a little bit of a walk from there, and it was a very huge main last bus stop. So lots of buses were there, and I was crossing all the buses, even though there is a particular walkway so that we don't walk in between the buses. But I was in a big rush to get to the class. I was hoping to make it. So I started to cross in between the buses, which was actually quite dangerous, which was all that. And as I was crossing between two buses, the bus, there was one bus behind me, there was one bus in front of me. I was going in between, they were parked closely together. I did not realize that the front bus, the driver was reversing the bus. I didn't realize that. I was there, because I am short, and I don't think he was checking his side mirrors or rear view mirror. I don't know what the bus had in those days, in the 70s. And he was talking to somebody from the window as he was reversing the bus. And as he reversed the bus, I got pinned between this bus that is coming and the bus that is parked. In between the two buses, I got pinned, and he kept on moving backwards. And I was there, and I was banging on the bus that he could not hear because he was talking to somebody. And there was hardly anybody. It was about 4:30 or so in the afternoon. And another inch or so, the mudguard of that bus would have literally come and lodged in my neck. It was so suddenly that fellow, for some reason, he braked the bus, and the bus just stopped, and I was totally pinned. And then at that time, some passengers who were in another bus saw me, and they started to shout at the driver saying, move the bus, there is somebody stuck. So as they shouted, the driver didn't move the bus. He came out of the bus to see what they are shouting, and saw me pinned between the bus in the back and the bus in the front. And then he went back and he moved, and he was very shaken. And I said, they all said, oh, good thing you stopped, good thing you stopped. He said, no, I did not stop. for some reason, the bus did not reverse anymore, even though I was pressing the accelerator. That is why I was so shocked. I don't know why the bus didn't move back. So anyway, I finished this and I still ran to my exam thinking, okay, I'm going to fail this exam. And I arrived there. For some reason that day, they had not opened the classroom door. This was being run in a school in this place in Shivaji Nagar. And the school, the room had not been opened. And therefore, everybody was standing outside. The room has been locked. We can't enter the room. When I went there, the peon of that school had just come and opened the door. So the exam got delayed. I was able to go, even though I was shaking, complete my exam. And I came home that day. When I came home, my father also came back from Vrindavan. It was late in the evening. He had had dinner. And he came and said, you are such a troublesome creature to Swami. You are always giving him some problem or the other. I said, what did I do? In fact, I said, he gave me trouble today. He told me to do Bal Vikas and then go to the exam. I was running. Yes, my father said, you were running, but did you not get stuck between two buses? How did my father know this? I said, how do you know that? I was almost killed by this bus driver today. And Swami said, my father said, Swami was talking in the old Vrindavan building to all of my father and some of the students. And as he was talking, suddenly Swami stood up and put his hand out and said, Bandi Apu. He said, stop the vehicle. Bandi meaning vehicle. Bandi Apu. And stop the vehicle. And Swami said it out so loudly and put his hand up. And everybody sitting there said, Swami, everybody knew something had happened for Swami who was talking suddenly to stand up and say, Bandi Apu, stop the vehicle. So they all said, Swami, what happened? Swami, what happened? They are all old-time devotees. They knew that Swami must have done something for some devotee. And Swami looked at my father and said, your troublesome daughter, instead of walking around in the bus stand, she has gone between two buses. And the bus driver, without seeing her, backed up. I had to stop the bus. So now I understood why the driver said that even though he accelerated, the bus would not move back, even though it was in reverse. I was able to go. So and finish my exam also. And next day when I went, Swami said, see, I told you to do the Bal Vikas, then you ran. But when I tell you to do something, I will always take care of you when you are doing my work, Bangaru. Why were you so scared that you were running between the two buses without taking any safety precautions? So, Swami's omnipresence, the faith in his name. I'm sure when the bus was coming back, I kept on saying, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. And Swami's love for all of us will somehow see us through, even in these difficult times of COVID, as long as we have our deep love and affection in his name, in his presence, and in his love for his devotees.
ॐ
वेङ्कटेश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्तजना संरक्षक भक्तजना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपद्बान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरि अन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरि अन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्रशयना ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी हो साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंधुको मंगल आरती अंधुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।